Pastor Lou. For those of you who tune in sometime during the week and follow our discussions, and maybe someday I'll get to meet you all. There's like 7 or 8 people that almost always religiously join us and watch us and comment to themselves. So anyway, welcome. And we're just getting ready to read. I did get Alice Taylor called me that she wasn't going to be able to join us tonight, which I think is nice that she called to tell me that.
Right.
But she's at the Presbytery meeting. So I'm going to find a picture here in the Zoom and put a hand wave on. All right, so who's going to read?
I will read.
Okay, good.
Oh God, why do you cast us off forever? Why does anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? Remember your congregation, which you acquired long ago, which you redeemed to be the tribe of your heritage. Remember Mount Zion, where you came to dwell. Few steps to the perpetual ruins. The enemy has destroyed everything in the sanctuary. Your foes have roared within your holy place. They set up their emblems there. At the upper entrance, they hacked the wooden trellis with axes, and then with hatchets and hammers, they smashed all its carved work. They set your sanctuary on fire. They desecrated the dwelling place of your name, bringing it to the ground. They said to themselves, "We will utterly subdue them." They burned all the meeting places of God in the land. We do not see our emblems. There is no longer any prophet, and there is no one among us who knows how long. How long, O God, is the foe to scoff? Is the enemy to revile your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand? Why do you keep your hand in your bosom? Yet God, my King, is from of old, working salvation in the earth. You divided the sea by your might. You broke the heads of the dragons in the waters. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You gave him as food for the creatures of the wilderness. You cut openings for springs and torrents. You dried up the flowing stream. Yours is the day, yours also the night. You established the memories and the sun. You have fixed all the bounds of the earth. You made summer and winter. Remember this, O Lord, as the enemy scoffs and an invited people revile your name. Do not deliver the soul of your beloved to the wild animals. Do not forget the life of your poor forever. Have regard for your covenant, for the dark places of man are full of the halls of violence. Do not let the downtrodden be put to shame. Let the poor and needy praise your name. Rise up, O God, and plead your cause. Remember how the impious scoff at you all day long, and do not forget the clamor of your foes, the uproar of your adversaries that goes up continuously.
Well, I would say, when I was reading this morning, going through it, I was in a particularly foul mood. I don't know, I'd heard enough, I've had enough of the things that are going on, and so when I read it, a lot of the imagery, I don't know, rang true to how I was feeling, and the cry to God to say, look, come on, how much chaos really are you? I'm worried for myself, but I feel like I'm pleading the case for other people because there's just so misery that is being brought on people, and fear, and all for what purpose? I don't know, so that a few people can know they're in charge? Maybe I should, I'll read to you the part of the explanation that I thought was really relevant. I marked it. Let me just read. The language of praise is put to use in the service of lament. Nevertheless, Wieser, who is one of the commentators, is correct to write that this psalm, especially in the supplication of verse 18 to 23, expresses the unshakable belief that God, who has shown himself in creation of the universe to be the Lord over the chaos, now has power to suppress the revolt of the chaotic powers, and that in view of his covenant promise, he will not allow his downtrodden people to become defenseless prey. I thought, okay, I like that optimism. And then a little further on, he says Psalm 74 seems to represent mythicization of history. Now, I'm not going to read what he says about that, but he says the use of mythical language occurs when there is an inability to deal with the great questions of humanity. The kind of 1 plus 1 equals 2 model is recognized, either explicitly or implicitly. The reasons of the heart and the modes of imagination must be utilized in the inward and the outward journey which the reality of human life in God creation requires. Okay, now, let me tell you why I underline that. I felt it was a good way of saying that sometimes in life the questions are too hard. It's not like you could just say, well, you know what, this happened, so then this happened. Sometimes you need to be able to use mythic imagination to be able to sort of just take it all in. And that's kind of what the psalmist is doing. He's crying out to God. He's saying, don't you remember? Don't you remember when you saved us in Egypt and you led us out to the mountain and you gave us the law and all of that? That just goes to remind himself, in a way, he's part of a greater story. He's part of a much greater story, and not to lose sight because of the present day chaos. And the horribleness, the language is not really very graphic unless you listen closely. You know, they've entered the temple, they've taken axes and chopped it all up in pieces. And in some ways, the commentator is saying that's a kind of poetic expression for what's happening to the people. You know, and then with the Holocaust anniversary remembrances going on, my mind is taken back to the incredible, unbelievable brutality of humans against humans. And for reasons, I don't know, for control. But that's where logic fails, understanding fails. There's no way to really, I don't think, there's really a way to understand what is driving the current attitude and milieu, not just of a president of a new administration, but a whole mob of people who just seem hell-bent on chaos.
Go ahead, Barbara. I can see you ready to say.
I'm just trying to read some commentary, and one of the things is the synagogue did not exist as an established institution until the Babylonian captivity. So it was once Jerusalem, the temple? But I'm confused.
There were different strains of theology. That certainly was a major claim on the part of the people who ran the temple. Like, they claimed, it was the only place you could go, and they were, of course, boosting their own economy because the temple was like Wall Street. It was the place to go to trade goods, and then from that, the priesthood got wealthy. And so, yes, they claimed you had to go to the temple, you had to go in, you had to make your penance and pay your allegiances, or you hadn't really done service to God. Now, there were large groups of people who said, no, no such thing. We have places where we know our ancestors prayed up in the mountains, and they had communion with God. But in this case, the people that this psalmist is writing to are expressing that, if the temple is the only place you can really go and find mediation between human beings and God, how can these people come into this place and get away with total destruction of it? Like, where's God? Where is God? So,
I just feel when the psalmist or Jeremiah or whoever is always saying to God, come and help us. I think we have to take responsibility, and we have to. God has given us the purpose, that's our purpose, to do God's work, and we have to stand up and do whatever is necessary. I can't look at God and say, this is all your fault.
no. Well, I don't think the psalmist, I think it's not either or. I agree with what you're saying, but I also say I think there's limits to what we can do. And I think that, if you go back to the remembrances of the Holocaust, I don't lay at the feet of those people who suffered that they could have or should have done something more to defend themselves. I think there then the legitimate cry goes out to ask the question, how do evil people with such malignant purposes, how are they getting such power in this world?
Was a fear. People are afraid. And if they don't follow that person, I'm sure that, why didn't the German people, there was something, I think in New York, today or yesterday, about people in Syria who were burying bodies or emptying bodies from trucks, and how they had to do this because if they didn't, they would be in the same situation. So I understand. I'm not blaming the Holocaust victims, but I am saying that individual humans have to take responsibility, and the German people have to take responsibility. And if we accept that we can't do anything because this maniac, whoever it is we're afraid of, then, do we deserve that? I don't know.
I can't. I think the psalmist provides what I would call maybe the third or the fifth alternative. I don't think. Well, I knew where I was going when I started. I just example, I know that I think when Liberty in the area,
Howard did that.
yeah,
Howard did that.
made them come in and clean up the bodies and made them, because they were culpable. They were soldiers. They knew what was going on in those camps. Now, why didn't they do it? I think in the case of the German people, they didn't do it because they all thought they were going to gain from it. They all thought that in the end, this was, Hitler's plan was, this is an economic solution for our country. I do think there are times, and I'm trying to think now, for me, I can cry this cry out to God. Come on, what are you doing to help us? Because I feel like a lot of people around me are marveling themselves to be able to stand up and say something different. But there's a lot of power coming out of Washington at the present moment. And it's power that I would argue, if anybody asked me, this is power that the president never had and never should have. He never had this. He's handling these federal grants. And I would say that's a budget passed by the Congress. You don't have the right to mess with that. But all he goes marching right in, just goes in and chop, 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 and then his style is always, let him take me to court. And it'll take 3 years for the court to resolve it. In the meantime, I'll be able to close off all this money.
I have a problem with there's
Yeah.
a lot of what's driving what I see as chaos and evil in our country are people hating one another. I don't want to fall into that. I'm going to be lying if I said I did not hate that man.
Yeah.
Trying to God, please, seems I guess maybe some of it is too new, even though we saw it coming. I can honestly say I cannot listen to that person. I cannot watch that person. And I don't think I've ever hated another living human being, but I hate him. And I need to know how to fix that, because I think that's what's driving everybody to do more of that. I don't want to be a part of it, but I don't know. I guess all we can do is just keep plugging away, keep pointing out where it's going against the rule of law and trying to stand up for the rule of law. I know some of our, the senators from our state I'm very proud of. I've seen them on television speaking out every day against what's happening. And I see our governor entering other states that are today, more lawsuits against what they're doing. But and I think we shouldn't go outside the law. If we want the law to stand, we have to abide by it too. But in the meantime, I'm afraid of this guy, and I can't say that there's anything redeeming about him. He's just totally without feeling for other human beings. It's almost amazing that,
And so much of it also makes no sense whatsoever, that it's just lashing out. Now, my son works for the patent office, and he's been working since before COVID. He worked 2 days a week in the office and 3 days at home. And there are people, he said, for the past 20 years who work for the patent office all over the country, have never worked in DC. And of course, they're, the head of the patent office got the notice last week that everyone has to work 5 days a week in the office. Well, meanwhile, they built, the patent office built new buildings in Alexandria, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And meanwhile, they have now either sold or rented out 2 of the buildings because people don't work out of the office. And, they've gotten the notice. Everyone has to go back. Well, there's no room for everyone to go back. Plus, people are all over the country. It makes no sense.
There's no thought involved.
So,
It's
that
just,
I'm the head and I can say anything and do anything,
right. There's no thought involved in any of this. No one has sat down and looked at the logistics or what this executive, proclamation will do to real people's lives. There's no thought involved. It's just, I don't like this, I don't like that, I have the power, I mean, concerning people being forced to go back into the office 5 days a week, somebody said, I guess it doesn't apply to the king because he's out playing golf.
right?
So, I mean, it's kind of funny in a way, but it's
See,
really, so,
I don't, like, part of what makes me want to hate him too is that he's causing all this disruption and chaos. But he has a slick way of coloring it with he's doing this for the good of everybody.
of course.
He's doing all this because he believes that the government and the services of the government are abusive and that they have been wasting money and that nothing that the government does is of any real value. And so you'll see. You'll see. I used it at one point in a critique of our presbytery, but it came out of a think tank for this right-wing economy back when I was in college. And they had a suggestion they were pushing pretty hard on, but no one was listening because they were too small. Now it's a much larger contingency, but their idea was that they should pick a day, and declare end of day, and then send everybody who works for the government home. Send them home. In 30 days, they should bring back only the people who are missed. Get to come back to work. Now, the way I used it, so that at one point, executive pressure, I was convinced was churning up a tremendous amount from the churches and with no job. And so I when he left and went back to the West Coast, he missed the president in that position. And you know what? It went on for 3 months. And no one has ever known. There's it goes out to other countries. Obstruction to all the things he'd like to do.
the other day, they showed us and like they burned it or something. I think people realize who made a big mistake, but what we do our piece. Discussing it. I think my family over the weekend. We're looking and that's really that was nobody, we're tired of it already. It's scary. And I haven't found it get in touch with
Yeah.
Situation, I never realized that. That was unbelievable.
Wasn't that an amazing connection? That she was
the young man that was hung on a no,
and she just was captivated by this story, and she did not want his life to be lost in an unknown grave somewhere, and so they managed to arrange, the Episcopal Church in Washington arranged for the exhuming of his ashes. It was his ashes, not his body, but then they did it was liturgical caravan from there to the church in Washington, D.C., where they interred his ashes along with the powerful Episcopal priests and bishops in the floor and the walls of the cathedral. His grave is today. And that was like I was so blown away with determination and power on for but you which he did, which first directing your life toward compassionate and mercy and water their view. You can't attack them in the butt stick. You just can't. And yet I don't. And when we had this Bible study, and we. You have to pray for them, because if you don't pray for them, you're bringing down God. It is the failure. But the crops are going to fail. The cows are going to get sick, and so I got convicted about that this morning because I was so angry, so full of rage. And then I just said, okay, I've gotta get ahead of this attitude. It's destroying me. And so, you know, I managed to pray for this person, for whatever the agenda is he thinks he has, that he would start to see a and people onto army transport planes and dropping them off in some other country. They're proud of that. And that makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah. I don't know if it's easier because everything is coming at once, or if it was, a slow drip, And what's frustrating to me is, how many times can I, after a while, which petitions I've signed anymore?
I take your hold them and go on and add my name too, but you know, it's okay.
But looking for, I guess, not that I'm waiting for someone else to look for, League of Women Voters, Organization of Women, on different groups, and see, where.
Yeah.
Not seeing, I'm not seeing anything.
I directed a comment directly to the White House, and I think I told you, Barbara, when you go on that, some comments, what I forget if it was the purpose, the yes, maybe I was annoyed already sending the comment, and I was trying to soft pedal it so it didn't sound so strident. And then you get this thank you that's like not at all in the tone of what I was trying to say, and it just makes you angry. I mean, is it designed to do that? It's just like everything's on its head, and it's not. It's he and Melania is in this too.
Yeah.
We both thank you. And I'm thinking, I don't want to talk to her. All I was angry when I got off, and I thought, well, I probably won't make any comments to them again. And maybe it's designed to have you not comment directly.
Well, believe me, I do think there is that kind of manipulation involved. Because,
Maybe.
you know, they smother you with sweetness. You know, that's what they're doing. They're ramming sugar down your throat so that then you can't really say whatever bitter you have to say gets lost. You know, they treat you as if there's no way you would have any objections or any criticisms to say. No, instead, we thank you for coming online and offering your support to the magnificent work we're already doing. So, yeah, go ahead, write whatever you want to say. That's great psychology. It's really great.
Yeah, but it's not making me feel any better. I thought I was going to feel better after I unloaded what I had to say, but no.
No, they don't want you to have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I don't know. Oh, well, back to the psalmist, though. I think the psalmist here actually is laying some of the blame for whatever is happening. It's hard to say whether it's the destruction of the temple. Is this before or after?
That's where it says in my commentary.
I think he's laying some of the blame directly on God.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, no, I think he is. I think he's doing that, but I think it's, the commentators are saying, what are you going to do? You can't, it's a big deal. It's beyond their cosmic sense of control. So when life moves beyond your cosmic sense of control, you have to go to God language. You've got to say, God, this is your domain. You kill leviathans. You crack sea monsters' heads on rocks and then feed them to the birds. You're the one. You are ultimately the one who is in charge of all of this. So look at this. I remember Brueggemann saying that, training for pastors and saying, look, sometimes you as a pastor, you need to do what the psalmist used to do, and that is you have to wake God up. You have to pray boldly to wake God up and basically say, you see what's happening here? Do you see what's taking place? Because you seem to have fallen asleep. And all that, it's almost for the cleansing of the psalmist's soul. It's like you going on to the White House website to,
Yeah.
and you're going to dump on them, and then you'll feel better. And he comes around and says, and I believe in you, and you are the only way we'll ever make it to the future. Use some of your power, will you? And can here. We're doing everything we know how to do, and we are not winning. And they did not win. They lost badly. And I fear sometimes that I'm laying there early in the morning awake and thinking I'm praying, and my fear is that we aren't going to win this. In fact, it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. And Trump's already petitioning another term. He's already filed. And, he let it be known that in one of his wild machinations, he thought the elections weren't going to be necessary from now on.
Right.
And if I this morning and I don't in the way the votes were counted, now I'm going to sound like Trump did when he lost. But, there was something like 8,600 ballots that were cast out in Georgia. There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ballots that were cast out in Colorado and in other states. And if you look at the rejected ballots, and often rejected for things like the hanging chads, if you look at the sum total of all the rejected ballots and who they voted for, Kamala Harris actually won the popular vote.
Not again.
Yeah, and in fact, they're looking at it and have come to the conclusion that if those votes had been counted, even the electoral college vote. And the point of the article was, when you see this and you understand what actually happened, you know why voter suppression is so popular among the red states. Because it's effective. It's actually and it can help the losing candidate to win.
The way a lot of states are gerrymandered, you can actually have more people for you and still lose elections because of the way the districts are drawn up.
Yeah, exactly.
The power is diluted among the folks who are going to vote Democratic. So,
But
A full third of the U.S. population. 1/3.
not too happy. And, as each thing happens, each group is going to be hit with something. And then
That's the scary part, because they haven't hit the really popular things yet, like Social Security and Medicare. They haven't hit Medicaid. Understand, all funding for Medicaid stops today. A lot of Medicaid pays for people who are in nursing homes. It's kind of problems. Yeah.
Well, if you have a big reaction, they look at you and go, now, calm down, because we're only pausing it. We're doing,
That's what I said.
yeah, taking a look at it. We're just looking at this, and nothing that is really important is going to be taken away.
None of our health organizations are there for us. And bird flu is a real threat. And when you need these, the World Health Organization and our other domestic organizations the most, we're going to have it. If something happens in the transmission starts from human to human, and we know that how that goes, it can go real fast. It's gonna be so far behind. Another disaster. I mean, it's mind-boggling, the lack of thought with this kind of action. Does he think that people are not going to rise up?
Because you've been blindsided. You've been hoodwinked into believing that we need government. And the only way you're really going to find out that you don't need the government, and all this can be handled by the states. The states should be able to handle all of this. And if they have to pay all that money to the federal government, they pay it up to the federal government. The federal government gives it back. A dollar's worth 5 cents. What you don't understand is that you've been schooled by bureaucratic people who have taught you that you and your life and the life of your seniors and everybody else is dependent upon federal bureaucracy. And they are trying to prove that it's not. And that's the principle of send everybody home and see who we miss. So,
A lot of people are going to be missing government because in the past, when they've shut down temporarily because they haven't gotten funding in place, there's always been a big gnashing of teeth and this is far worse. And we haven't even gotten to the budget yet, which is, the showdown will be in March. That's not that far away. I don't know. But here we are talking about this again.
well,
This is
listen,
not to the elephant in the room.
I'm blaming on the psalmist. And I think it's fair. That's why I warned you when we started tonight to say, we're going to talk about this because it's what the psalmist is writing about. He's writing about an administration of policy makers who's come in and sought to destroy life as they do it. So, I don't know how we avoid it. Believe me, when I read the psalm, I thought, maybe we should skip this psalm. But when you go to some of the others, this is the song they sing. This is about why are people so damn destructive? I don't know, it's a dumb question to ask, but why do people feel the need to dominate other people? Why would you lay in your bed and fantasize about taking over Canada? Why would you
Greenland.
leave the people of Greenland alone? Leave them alone. God is
Do it.
enough for them. The government rights and Panama. Are you kidding me? Leave those people alone. Nope. Just gotta lay there and think about who else he can kick.
money, money for research on what is the name of the bill that Biden put in. And he wasn't for that. Well, maybe if we had spent more on that, this wouldn't be as big a problem, but I don't know.
I'm surprised he's not naming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Trump.
Give him time. Give him time.
They want to rename Dulles Airport Trump Regional or Trump International.
No.
It's already been talked about, and I think it's going to come up. There's already a bill going to come up in Congress. Like, are you serious? I actually did make a comment about that online. Something like, let's not be ridiculous. Like, come on.
No, they better,
It's Reagan. So,
they better name an airport after him because there'll be no library in his legacy.
just read.
Yeah, there's no presidential library. It'll be filled with comic books and, there's nothing to put in his presidential library. He doesn't read. He doesn't care what reading does. He doesn't. I mean, he's when you talked about the budget is coming up, I'm going to make a prediction. There'll be no fight over the budget at all because Trump wants to expand the federal debt. He wants to spend money. He doesn't care. You got to spend money to make money. Look at his business.
Spend money on things that he wants.
Yeah, spend money all over the place. No, because they're going after government waste. It's waste. That's what they're after. It's so wasteful that they negotiated for, insulin drugs, and now all of a sudden they've taken the right of Medicare to negotiate drug prices away. So,
Yep.
woof, back up the price go. Okay.
It was supposed to be a maximum of 2,500 a year. Medicaid, starting this year. Not just insulin, but other drugs. That's the maximum if you're on Medicare, you're supposed to pay. And pay a lot more than that. Yes, so we'll still be paying this year.
You will, because they just took the knees right off.
Well, the price of it waste. What happened to that? He was going to lower the price of it for everybody. Meantime, all the dying from bird flu, and it's time to how many other species of animals. It's only a matter of time before we're all getting it. And
Damn that Biden, he's responsible.
that must have been his fault.
Yeah, damn.
I'm glad I don't like eggs.
Yeah, I like eggs
It
too.
shows at good prices.
I like them a lot.
Ugh. I like them in cake.
Yeah, I like them in cake. They're in everything. It's good. Ice cream, they're everywhere. They're really good.
I gotta watch The Daily Show. At least at the end of the day, you can laugh about some of this stuff. But
Yeah. I can't stay up that late.
record it and
Oh,
watch.
that's right. You can watch
Last
it.
night, Jon Stewart was on, and he was wonderful. And he had a really, I forget the man's name, a firefighter from California. And he was recruited out of prison. A lot of times they take prisoners. He said, the best job you can get in the prison system is if you get chosen to go out and fire. That's the best job. He goes, yeah, you get $1 a day, and you get some training, and you
a show about that program. It's on Netflix, I think. It's a whole dramatization. They cast some of these people, the real people, and they follow them and show that they're working to fight fires instead of sitting in jail.
Right.
Well,
So, you know, the guy was honest about prison.
yeah.
He said, yeah, I'd rather be out risking my life fighting a fire than in prison. That's how bad it is in prison. But, you know, the idea that you can go out and find something where you can get your self-esteem back and do something useful. It was very inspirational.
Make a difference. Save people's lives. Save the forest. I mean, good grief. That's a good thing.
Yeah. There's good in the world. I know that. It's just hard to see it now.
Right now, very hard.
Like,
All right, well, I think we're going to call it a night for tonight. Colette, it's very good to see you.
yes. Hi, Colette.
Hi. Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm plodding along.
Good for you.
Till he brings me back cups, lots and lots of cups. But he brought me back a tile that has a Sufi dancer at the bottom. It's a letter like a W with a tail and a little thing. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to Google and I asked, what is that? What does that letter say? And it said, it's God.
Oh, it's a lot, and it's Elif, Lam, yeah, and then it does look like an S, and it's like, yeah, or it's like this.
It's
a lot of,
and it's got a little tail on one end.
and on the end, the letter would be kind of like a balloon at the end, yeah,
Yeah, and then there's some bars up at the top.
because
I practiced
it's a
writing.
double L.
I practiced writing, so I can almost do it myself.
There you go, see? Yeah. Oh,
Multilingual now.
yeah, yeah.
That's nice. How many cups do you have?
Oh gosh, I'll have to count.
Wow. Oh, that's a nice collection to have.
Well, I started it long ago because people would bring their coffee cups in, and by the time they had a couple of swallows, it wasn't hot anymore. So I brought my thermos of coffee and a tiny cup. So I got hot coffee,
Yeah.
in a swallow or two or three. But by next meeting, I will tell you how many cups I have.
Oh, okay.
Little
Okay.
cups.
All right.
That's you have a mission. Your assignment. Your assignment.
All right. Well, it's good to see you all. Good night. Take care. Keep the faith. Let go.
Through the app, easy peasy. You can book them for both virtual appointments or for in-person ones. For any of your mental health, behavioral health coverage needs that you might have. Now, in addition to that, it still has all of the referral services and legal advice and all of those things. should have said this. See, this is why Carrie is smarter than Jeremy. You get the 6 free sessions, and it used to be that you would have to either take some time off and go back with another issue and do 6 more sessions, or you would have to transition to a provider who was in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield with the health plan for your ongoing care. With this new service through Spring Health, all of their network will continue to see you beyond the 6 free sessions for just a $25 copay. You don't have to find someone else who's in network. There's no 2 different networks to figure out who's credentialed with whom. Very simple and seamless. So if your issue requires more than 6 visits, very seamless now to continue seeing the person who's helping you make some progress. And the last thing I'll say about this is, in addition to a network of therapists, there is also access to a network of certified coaches who you can see. And my understanding is no cost, unlimited visits with their network of certified coaches. And so that is something a lot of people are looking for now and have been wondering about how it's fun. So you could give this a shot. Now, who is eligible for this program? Anyone who is covered by the Board of Pensions health plan is automatically covered in this plan. So if you receive your health coverage through the Board of Pensions, you are covered. It is simple. You can download the app and sign up. Very easy, right from the app. If you are not covered with health care through the Board of Pensions, but you are in some of their other financial protection packages, like the new Covenant package, which used to be called Minister's Choice in the old plan, right, where you get pension and disability and EAP. You can still enroll in this service. You just have to actually call Spring Health to set it up. You can't do it as quite as seamlessly through the app, but once they create your login for you, you're good to go. So information on Spring Health is also, it's featured, it's right on their homepage at the moment on pensions.org, but certainly if you searched for EAP, you would find it there too. So those are the 2 exciting updates, one hopefully exciting for congregations seeking new pathways to pastoral leadership, and the other one hopefully exciting for members of the plan to have a better, improved, and more seamless EAP experience. I feel like I should try and offer to answer questions. I don't know how good I'll be, but if anyone has a quick one, I'll do my best. Otherwise, reach out to me. I'll get you answers, or better yet, reach out to Carrie, who will get you more quality information as soon as she's back.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you very much. Does anybody have a burning question that you'd like to raise? If you do, please raise your hands. Well, seeing none, Jeremy, you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You answered all the questions. We'll go to Carrie, so thank you very much. Jeremy, do we have any new business that you know of that we should bring to our body tonight?
No, we do not. And just a reminder, per our standing rules, if someone wishes to introduce new business, they need to provide it to the clerk by the opening gavel of the meeting. I did not receive any, so thank you all.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you very much. At this time, I will proceed to end our meeting with reading of Scripture and a prayer. The Scripture reading is from Luke 4, verse 16 through 21. Those that were last Sundays in church, this is the Gospel reading. And so we are going to read it, and it's from the New International Version that I'll be reading from tonight. And then we'll end with prayer, and then we will have a motion to adjourn. Jesus went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. Jesus stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophets, Isaiah, was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me